not a Coachella film. What is that
Right.
all about?
Yeah. So it's just a giant project. I think I wanted to make
Hmm.
it, a local effort to, um, there's this interesting music festival that happens in our backyard
Yeah,
annually, and I
I'm
think
wearing
that
the Coachella jacket
right,
officially.
exactly. And I think it's cool that like we can rep, um, but I think there's a lot of people just like come to the desert
Hmm.
and then just have fun for a couple weekends and
Yeah.
then they head out. And so I think there's a lot of fun in that environment. And I've been to Coachella like
Mo-
number of times.
yeah, multiple years.
Yeah, so about 3 times over the past 4 years, I would say.
Wow, that's cool.
And so, yeah, the environment just like inspired me because I think that there's been certain performers or just experiences that I've had at Coachella where, and lots of people can relate to this. You
Like
go,
life changing or
yeah, and it seems silly. I know, like everyone's like, "Oh, like Coachella changed my life," and I used to be one of those people that
yeah.
roll their eyes at like somebody who goes and seems to take away such a huge
No, it's
experience.
because it's something you can't describe. Like you could just describe it to people, but they have to kind of experience it for themselves. Because not just the music, it's weird. Like once you're there, like all the problems, all your stresses from work,
Right.
school, whatever
Mhm.
you got going on, it's like a weekend to just like let go and experience anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you, so not a Coachella film. So that's you're producing the movie because we didn't really address that. So you're producing the movie for people who are first listening to this.
Right. So I wrote the script, and that's kind of where it started. And
Hmm.
so I'm writing it, directing it, and then producing it. So
Okay.
it is a lot of hats that I'm trying to wear as I'm
Yeah.
trying to make this thing. But I think that I've reached out to a number of people along the way who are, give you a lot of wisdom and tips
Hmm.
to try and bring a project like this like full circle. And I've done some
Yeah.
stuff in the past.
Do you have
So
experience with other films before?
yeah,
Any
so
short films or what have you been doing before?
yeah, so in college I studied, funny enough, bioengineering was like my main degree.
Definitely what you need to make a movie.
Right, absolutely. It's like just the essentials.
Yeah.
But no, I studied that, and then my minor was in film production, and
Okay.
so I remember taking just an intro class my freshman year, and
Hmm.
I always had a love for film and storytelling, and so um,
Do you have
I thought,
any
yeah,
like specific things that inspired you growing up? That why did you choose to be a film minor or a minor in film? Did you
yeah.
already wanted to be a film director since you were a kid, or how did that passion come about?
Yeah, I think I've always loved, I was a really, like, I had an appetite for reading books when I was
Hmm.
little. Like, I was always reading books. My parents would get upset with me. It's probably why I have really bad eyesight, to be completely honest.
They would get mad if you read too much.
Right. Because I would read into the night and I would hide, like, books under the covers, and it's reading in the dark that,
Yeah.
like, ruins your eyesight. And so, no, they just tell me lots of stories of that while I was a kid that,
Just like any kind of book, like actual, I want to say real books, but not, or like you mean like Dr. Seuss and all that like generic stuff.
I guess imaginary stuff. Like I loved Harry Potter. I loved
Fantasy.
like, fantasy
Yeah.
films, and so, or not films, books.
Fantasy
Um,
books.
and so I liked a lot of different types of books. I like comic books as well, and
Do you ever like
just
Lord of the Rings?
I haven't like I
You've
never
never seen
read.
them?
I've seen the movies,
Oh,
but I
okay.
never read.
You never
the
read the books?
No.
Do you like the
Um,
movies at least?
Yeah, the movies are rad.
It's like my
Yeah.
favorite trilogy ever.
Yeah.
I got inspired. I've always wanted to make movies myself, but I mean I'm barely coming up on my own like experience and stuff. But Lord of the Rings is what just like blew me away,
Yeah.
just how awesome it was. Especially I was like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old when that came out, so it really resonated with me. But anyway,
No, absolutely.
yeah.
I think there's something about books that get you outside of your head and
Mhm.
your world. It's an escape. Um, and so it's a funny story, like how that ties into like film.
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to watch movies really or any American cinema growing up.
Why?
Yeah, so my parents are pretty strict. They were pretty strict growing up, and so
Mhm.
grew up in a Protestant household. And so I'm still Christian as well, but
Mhm.
I think that growing up, my parents were really strict about what I could watch
What
and
you
what
were
I can
watching.
consume. And
Mhm.
so I wasn't allowed to watch a PG-13 movie till I was 13 years old.
Oh, they were really
Yeah,
to the T.
to
Yeah.
the T. I wasn't allowed to watch really like that. They know, mom and dad.
Well, yeah,
they're,
of course.
They're listening right now.
Everyone kind of
Right.
sneaks in
Here and there.
once in a while.
Exactly. So first rated R movies really in high school, and so I felt like I was always playing catch up when it came to movies.
Yeah.
There were lots of movies that people were like, "Oh, Tola, how have you not watched this? How have you not watched this?"
Yeah.
And so that really hit me in college, I think.
Oh, you felt like you didn't consume enough what other people had already.
Right. Like I felt like, yeah, there were just like childhood nostalgia that I never had, I think, growing up. And so the good thing about that is that I think I was experiencing great movies for the first time, usually. Like,
as an adult, which made you appreciate it a lot more. I feel like that could be the positive in all this, because I my parents let me watch whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Even rated R movies when I was a kid. So I've gone back to watch some old movies that I watched as a kid, and it's just it's completely different to what I remember, because when you're 12, 13, you don't appreciate some of the inside jokes that are made for an 18 plus audience, or stuff that's happening, the nuances and stuff.
Absolutely. Stuff goes over your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know. It also let me, there are just certain movies that people would show me as like, an adult.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of nostalgia in it. So they'd get really excited about it. But then I'd watch it and I'm like, this isn't really that good of a movie. But like, it's because I wasn't, like, to them, there's so much of like experiences. That's why movies are so powerful, is that when you watch them for the first time, it's always wrapped up in an experience, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like
the times, or you remember where you were, talking about it to your friends, whatever, watching. And now people, I don't know, but I watch a lot of movie reviews, or like people make content around movies, like you could say like video essays and stuff on YouTube, and people break it down. Like, it's some stuff that people like break down. You're like, how they even come up with that? Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah.
Do you ever watch any content like that?
Yeah. I think that's something that oddly enough, I enjoy watching those, even of movies that I haven't watched.
Oh, yeah?
I've
done that before myself.
Yeah. No, I watched a good one about Black Swan, which is a movie that I haven't still to this day watched, but
it's a good movie.
Yeah. The director is someone that I admire. And so one of his movies, Mother.
So I love Mother. Yeah, so that movie's great.
It was a really bizarre movie, but I loved it. It had so many mixed reviews, and I remember, I vividly remember watching it with a buddy. And we watched it together, and then we walked out, and then we sat in like the theater, like courtyard, for about like an hour and a half, maybe, just talking about it. Yeah, it reminds me. It's like one of those satire movies, or satirical.
Yeah.
Where there's a huge message that's behind a simple story, and I really love that genre.
Yeah, and I mean, this Mother was just completely like, it wasn't like any movie you're ever going to see, because it not only had, like you said, the satire, but it didn't really make, if you're just watching it for like a narrative, a regular narrative, it didn't have a beginning to an end. Like, it was just, I guess, alluded to a lot of like biblical stuff and God and all that stuff, humanity. Like, that movie blew me away. Like, when I watched it, I was like, the final 30 minutes is just insane. Yeah. Once everything's going down in the house, like, that movie, you have to watch Mother if you haven't seen it.
Right, absolutely. Spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers alert. It's been like 2016, I think, or 2017 came out.
I think it came out, 2017.
2017. Yeah, I did a review for Mother on my YouTube channel.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So you really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing movie reviews back then. I kind of went away from that, but like I said, I used to do movie first reactions, and then like trailer reactions, and then I would do movie reviews. So I always have a passion for film, but just that's cool that you really got inspired from Mother. Is that something you want to do with your own film? Like, maybe take it in that kind of like artsy, different type, your main story with like a bunch of sub layers to it?
Yeah, I think that it's almost inexplicable, the reasons why certain films resonate with you. Like, you love them and you're not exactly sure why, but I think it hints at the art you would love to create.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, for me personally, like, this film is another one of those examples, but I definitely want the films I make to make people think.
Yeah.
in some way or capacity, that they're able to leave the theater afterwards and have a conversation with their friends. I love movies that
Yeah, that
spark
make you think.
discussion.
Yeah, I love those movies too. I know there's certain people that they just want to like be told what
Yeah.
happened. Oh, this is what happened. This was the ending. Like I
Right.
kind of I hate generic movies like that. Like I love movies that you leave the theater. There could be three different people, and each of them have a different perspective on what they just watched.
Right. And I think
That's
every
great.
movie has its place as well. Like
Hmm.
there's certain movies where I'm like, yeah, I just want to sit down and laugh, or I just want to sit down and be entertained.
Yeah.
But I know that like in my wheelhouse, like where I really love art and making things, it's where there's a lot of thinking
Hmm.
that's happening. And so, um, yeah, I personally think it's just like if a movie doesn't really, like, everyone's different. Everyone goes to a theater for different reasons.
Yeah.
So
I mean, do you enjoy like Fast and Furious movies at all?
see, like,
That trailer that just came out is just ridiculous.
oh my gosh, I think that I cannot. I have to be honest and say that I have not watched like a full front to back Fast and Furious movie.
Not even the early ones, one
Not
and
even the
two.
early ones.
Not even the early ones. Wow.
No, but I don't know what age I was at, but that's probably in like Tola hiding under a rock phase.
Yeah, you probably don't want to watch those movies anyway. They're just popcorn car stuff going. Like
Yeah.
they went from like car heists, like a movie. It wasn't really about the cars. It was just like them stealing some CDs and stuff. To now they're like the government's relying on them to save the world. Like they became the Avengers, but now
Oh,
it makes no sense. Like it's just crazy.
so it's just like out of hand at this point.
Yeah, they're superheroes basically, just driving crazy cars and trying to stop like nuclear weapons and stuff. It makes no sense, but people
But, yeah.
they make like $1 billion every time. So
Yeah, it's entertaining.
yeah.
Entertainment. I think a good action movie that I really love is Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know if you ever
Oh,
watched that
I
movie.
love Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Live that
dude.
repeat. Like I watched that one. Like I've watched it so many times just because it doesn't get boring. And
Yeah.
man, like when I first watched, I didn't get to see it in theaters. I'm so mad because I watched it once it came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And then once I saw it, like I had to rewatch it again, and like it's definitely one of my favorite films.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about that movie either, too, but it's just like unexpectedly entertaining.
Yeah,
It keeps me guessing.
because it's cool action too.
Yeah.
It's you got the like the aliens coming up. You've it's been like 4 or 5 years since that movie
Right,
came
yeah.
out, so there's no I guess no spoilers for this one. But yeah, those the way like he came in, he was just like I guess marketing for the war, right? He was
Right.
kind of working for was
Yeah,
it like a media company or
He
something?
was, yeah, it was interesting. Like he was like basically an influencer, like
Yeah,
in a weird
kinda.
way.
Yeah, like a futuristic type of way.
Yeah, like had an agenda of like this is the image that they're pushing across, but not really actually being part of the war in any way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's such an interesting character to throw into the
Then they throw in the front lines.
right. And it's Tom Cruise. It's
Yeah.
wild. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I mean, it just so much goes on in that movie. No, that movie is amazing. It's probably my favorite Tom Cruise movie. I'm not really a big fan of all his like Mission Impossibles, and I haven't really watched all of them to be
Yeah.
honest. I actually watched the last one just because it looked entertaining, and I felt like you didn't have to watch the other ones to just
Right.
go watch it. But Edge of Tomorrow, that movie is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is-
Yeah.
What is like do you have like a top 5 favorite films ever or no?
Oh man, that's a tough question, but yeah, I definitely think that. What are my favorite films? I love. So first, Parasite comes to mind right now.
Yeah.
That just came out recently. That's a new movie.
Best Picture,
The
yeah.
the best picture, best foreign film,
Best director.
best director. But even before all that, I watched it in theaters. I think I want to say in October or November, somewhere in there. And a buddy of mine had told me like, you need to go watch this movie, Tola. Like it's in
It's that good.
it's like in. They said it's. He said if you don't love it, I'd be shocked because I think we both talk about movies a lot.
Yeah.
So we have similar taste, and so it reminded me a lot of Mother in some ways. I think it was almost. I don't want to like offend people who love Mother so much because I love both movies. I
Yeah.
think they both occupy a similar genre, but they're very different. But I think that Parasite is just like such a brilliantly edited, written, just like masterful piece of
It's
work.
so good.
It's just like
The tone changes like once like, well, you have the contrast of the two families.
Yeah.
Then you have the shocking reveal. I don't want to talk about it, but that was so unexpected. It threw me. I knew something was gonna happen when the lady came knocking at the door. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're gonna get caught up. Maybe they're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
But what happened was just insane, and that movie's just. Yeah. I've watched it 2 times.
Absolutely.
I watched it maybe like a month before the Oscars. Mm-hmm. That right here at the Palm
that's where
Palm
I watched
Desert
it.
10.
Oh wait, did I watch it Palm d'Or?
It's Palm Desert 10 now. It's I still call it Palm d'Or, but yeah. Palm Desert 10. They always have all the Oscar films there.
Right.
Yeah, like so yeah, that movie, it just blew me away. I wanted 1917 as my personal favorite to win, just because I know it was like the set pieces and the set design, and I've never seen a movie like this. Just following one person. Like, I know they try to make it like one continuous shot, but I felt like I was watching like a video game or a story. Like I don't know, him just reaching his objective. You get to see that one?
I haven't yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I need to see it. Multiple people have told me that those were the 2 movies that I
for
really
me
wanted.
those were the 2 that were like the which other one was it that might have a chance, but I forgot. I can't even think of the last one.
Was it Once Upon a Time?
Once Upon a Time was. I didn't think Best Picture just because there was some parts. I assumed just because it was like alluding to old Hollywood, and the Academy loves that, like of course, the way he did it. That movie's cool. Do you like Tarantino's movies?
See, I think that no, I would say Tarantino isn't like a. I've watched like quite a few of them. I watched Kill Bill and I've watched Django, and I enjoyed them. But I think that there's some directors or movies that you're just like, oh yeah, like I get him. I don't get Tarantino because some people love him.
Oh, like I love that dude.
Yeah, you do.
My favorite, my favorite from him is Inglorious Basterds. That's
the movie everyone keeps telling me about.
And you still haven't seen Inglorious Basterds?
No,
oh my god,
dude! I wasn't allowed to watch it. Like, I don't think my parents were gonna be cool about me watching Nazi Germany.
but it's not. It's satire too. It's like a pretty like an alternative way to end World War II, which is so cool. And the way he directs it, like he just gore, incredible dialogue, the acting's amazing. Yeah, that's one movie you have to watch. Like after this, like go rent it. Yeah, go to Redbox. Go on.
No, whenever I hear a movie,
Google Play,
that multiple people tell me I need to go watch, I go watch it because for me, I already know that there's no way I'm ever gonna catch up. Yeah, like, quote unquote, because I just have missed so many movies from when I was a kid. When you have lots of free time to watch movies,
and so much stuff happens, like especially with work and your own passion projects, family time, and then you also have to keep up with the new current stuff that's happening. You have so much production when it comes to streaming services, movies, TV. Like there's just so much content being created now.
Yeah. We're inundated in some ways. I definitely think that that's why, for me, I know there's so many people making entertaining films. And so that's why it's really important. Like, personally, I just know that what I want to contribute to the body of, like, cinema is stuff that makes you think, that, like, sticks with you after.
So what's, like, a no spoiler synopsis of your film that you're trying to...
That's a great... So... The log line, I guess, that, is very simple. It's just a Black woman who takes a break from her responsibilities as a wife and a mother at a music festival. I keep it very general just because, Coachella is like
the rights.
Yeah, one of the rights, but I think also I've gone to multiple music festivals, not just Coachella. And I think that what's cool about like going to Camp Flog Gnaw or FYF is that I had similar but different experiences that I experienced at Coachella. Yeah, like they all have their own distinctive, like unique vibes. I guess. But what I took away from each of those places felt very similar, and so there's like the logistical and like also legal. There's legal reasons to avoid using the word Coachella. Yeah. But I also didn't want to constrict or like, not constrict.
Narrow it down to just people that know Coachella because there's music festivals all over. So you want to make it more, I guess, get the essence of what a music festival is, the experiences that people experience, whether it's Tomorrowland in Europe or
Right.
Coachella here, or
Absolutely.
was it Governor's Ball in New York? There's so many different there's festivals. I feel like there's new festivals all the time now.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Absolutely.
But
And so I think that just getting the essence of that is what I wanted to focus on in writing the script. And so, yeah, I think that a lot of people have asked me like, oh, like, you know, a lot of first projects usually are very personal. And so people look at, oh, a black woman, like, yeah, you're black, but like you're not a woman nor mother or married. So like, what do you have in common with this protagonist? And I think that I've been able to have expressions of, you know, personal things that like are deep rooted within me. Over the past couple of years in previous projects, but I really did want to. I do think I have a lot in common with this character, but I also think that, two, I wanted to challenge myself to set a tone
instead of kind of change it up.
Yeah, I think that representation matters a lot in Hollywood nowadays. Like people are realizing that, you know, you see. I don't think with social media, there's almost this like recognition suddenly that certain things that perhaps weren't valued in the past are actually very valuable amongst a big crowd of people. So like Fresh Prince, like Will Smith in general being an actor.
There's anything that Will Smith does except that new Gemini movie, because that one flopped. No one cared about
that. Great. So we don't talk about that.
His only blemish in his career.
Right. No, but I think that being able to see characters who look like me on screen, that happened so rarely growing up that it's so funny now, talking with buddies who are black, like men like me, and we all have similar loves of certain representation that I think happened. And so
because I feel like, especially for leading roles, like you always had like character, but always minor characters or like side characters, or even portrayed in a negative manner, negative way.
Absolutely.
And now with like the social justice movement and all that stuff, like I'm not I don't like the people that take it to the extreme, because some people go to the extreme, but I think definitely you need representation, especially like you still have that whole majority of it still looks the same, but now little by little, like especially with films like the one you're trying to produce and other people making films, and we're looking in 10-15 years from now, it's going to be more of an equal playing field.
Absolutely.
And if you're a young kid that watches your film, you're like, oh, I could start my own movie. Like imagine a young girl that might be inspired to be being an actress or making movies herself or something. They're gonna be like, oh, I could do this too, or I could do this, I could be a director, I could help out produce, you know. That definitely has a positive effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's like two things that happen when someone like myself sets out to make a film that has representation in mind. It like, one, creates an opportunity, right, for a black female to star and lead a film. But I think also, two, then you're presenting an image out to the world of like of one of nuance and maturity, and allowing people to see themselves in different films. So my film's not the only one that's out there doing things. Like people are doing great things out there, and so it's just, I'm encouraged by those people who are out there doing that. And so, like,
you just want to bring in your own way, your own personal style to make sure something good's happening, be part of the movement, you know, like you're saying, something that's gonna make people think, people get excited about. So anyway, so what's so a female goes to Coachella and or a music festival.
Yeah, and I think that so she goes to Coachella, and I think that without revealing too much, I think that there is something about being a mom that requires a lot of bandwidth for many women. And so I think that part of what the film explores is one, just like, you know, a narrative of, okay, this woman goes to Coachella or a music festival of some sort and just has a blast.
Yeah.
But also like the tensions of when we leave a place to go do something else, there's an absence that we leave behind.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think parents understand this really well. At least I've talked with,
Yeah.
I sense with like my mom and also my dad as well, is that when they're not available, and actually I'll even speak to myself as an oldest sibling. So like the reason why I think that I relate to this character in so many ways is because as a being an older sibling to two younger siblings, I think that there are moments where I'm hyper aware of, as I'm doing my own thing, I've forgotten them along the way. Like as I'm doing my own thing,
you're doing
I suddenly remember like, oh, I haven't talked to my sister in like months, or I haven't given my brother a call, or I haven't been there for him if he in something that he was really going through. Or these are all hypotheticals, but I'm just saying, like, you leave suddenly. You leave something behind. You can't be in two places at once.
Yeah.
I think that's, honestly, like, that's a great way to describe kind of the film, is that you can't be in two places at once. And so I don't want to like reveal too much.
I know. I was going to ask more, but I was like, I don't know if I want to ask too much.
Ask. And then I'll just,
So your story's going to be told on both her experience at a music festival and what happens to her home or the people that she leaves behind.
I would say.
And her dealing with the both, like, having an awesome experience, but then thinking like I'm having the best time of my life, but then I don't have the best parts of me, which might be my children and my family over here.
Right. And so I think the best way that I can describe it is that she is existing in this space. The film takes place like in this space of a music festival, but she is aware of what the absence that she's leaving behind, and she's like dealing with that in different ways throughout the music festival.
Okay.
So I think that that's like the most I can say without ruining everything.
What part of the movie like development are you at? Are you almost ready to film? Are you still writing the film? What part are you in?
Right. So the film is written. The storyboards are funny. Like you can always add and change and shift, and so I'm realizing that as well. Is that
so? You already did all the storyboard and everything.
Yeah,
the
I
shots
did, like,
you want, kind of
rough storyboards as well, and I think that that's inspired by previous works. I think that what's the saying, that like geniuses are people who like learn how to borrow like without stealing.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
I heard something similar. It's called stealing like an artist. That there's no one's really original. You just steal like an artist, where you get inspired and you want to recreate it in your own way, like certain scenes, certain topics, certain songs. Like you hear in songs all the time, people are recreating the same stuff from years ago.
Right.
Get inspired for somebody else. So stealing like an artist is the term that I've heard before.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not what I just said.
I got the notes.
Thank you, though.
Yeah.
No, I think that what originally came from my head was, okay, like these are the shots that I can envision happening. But I think that now that you kind of, because suddenly you take a break, I think, because right now we're still in pre-production. So
okay.
That's, I guess, the stage, the nebulous stage before shooting begins.
When do you have like a rough plan? Do you have like a set date that you might start filming?
Yeah, so shooting starts March 27th through the 29th, and then the April 3rd through the 5th, and then April 17th through 19th.
Coachella weekend too?
Yeah, Coachella weekend too. So
are you going to film? They're going to try to film into the festival?
Yeah, that's like something we're still contemplating and kind of working out, but nothing like set in stone quite yet.
Yeah.
In terms of, I think there's just something about filming in that environment, or in that there's tons of things that are happening off Coachella, if that makes sense. Like lots of people.
The influencers, people are coming. The vibe.
The vibe.
I think that'd be cool, because either you could be filming just people like locally, or just hanging out in town that have the aesthetic of Coachella people, Coachella goers. Yeah, plenty of palm trees here too, so you could create scenes where movie magic happens where you make it seem like you're inside a festival, but it's still
Right.
happening.
And that's like a big part of this like film is like
Mm-hmm.
trying to recreate as much as possible like these
Yeah.
environments. And I think we've spent a lot of time, one of my DP and myself like kind of talking, DP being director of photography. Like, just for everyone
people
else
that
who
are-
like yeah, but my DP and I have talked about like, you know, certain like films or TV shows that have kind of inspiring both of us and kind of envisioning kind of what sets will look like. I'm really excited. It's a lot of what's the word? What am I trying to say? I think that you asked an earlier question of just like in general where we are in
Like pre-production,
but
the set schedule,
yeah.
the rough estimate what days you want to shoot. Do you already have actors and everybody lined up?
Yeah, I think that people are already getting filled in, and so most of the actors are completely like set. We have one actress that is, or one role that is so difficult to cast.
Yeah.
And we've been auditioning for a while. I think that there's probably people out there who understand the like auditioning woes in some ways,
Yeah.
and so this is my first experience auditioning individuals, and I think that for this specific character, it's just like it's almost you're not looking for perfection, but it's a very difficult role to nail.
Yeah.
And so we haven't found that character yet, but I'm pretty excited. Like I think that it's one of those things that some films or some film directors that I read their interviews or watch them on camera, and they describe how they tested a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
And then in the last 2 weeks, like they found the
one
right
that- the right
person. And I never thought too critically about that.
You're like, oh, cool, whatever.
Like, oh,
I know it's
cool.
never gonna
Right.
be in my path or whatever.
Yeah, like you never think about what that actually feels like
Yeah.
until you're in it. And now I'm like, man, it's hard. It's like really painful to like
You already had a lot of
to
auditions then?
wait. Yeah, I think
None of
none
them.
of them have really worked out. Whether that's through like time constraints or just being the wrong.
What kind
person.
of, I mean, maybe someone watching this might be interested. What kind
Right,
of,
yeah.
what a role or what are you looking for in this?
So it's a black woman, not necessarily a black woman. So, you know, I want to make sure that the characters that we choose, I don't know, that we're creating, like, I want to keep that in mind, that we're creating opportunities for people as well, and also representing different lifestyles, different people on
Yeah.
screen. And so, actually, I'll be very honest, the race of the person or ethnicity is pretty flexible. But I think that she's someone at this festival who runs opposite our main protagonist, this black mother,
Yeah.
who pulls a lot out of her. And I think that we
okay.
all know somebody who like has that almost
More loose, more wild side. Or
yeah,
is that
but not exactly like that, but also like what's even more important, like they are a bit more loose and a bit more wild, but they also like have this like gravitas that like they can, you feel like when they're listening to you, like you're really feeling listened to. Like,
yeah, they get excited when they hear you tell your stories or things like that. Yeah, we all know people like that.
yeah, and that's a special kind of person that like, because we all have friends who might be like that, who are maybe a bit more introverted, but this character is somebody who strikes a good balance of a great listener, like
Yeah.
just like really open and loving, like having a lot of love, but also a bit like, you know, a bit hard to like pin down. Like
Yeah.
she's not a character who just like
Wants to follow the rules.
follow the rules
Yeah.
and like and so that's a hard character that we've been that
They're just still trying to cast.
Trying
Do you
to
have
cast,
any auditions coming up, or you're talking to anybody?
yeah, no, I definitely think so. I do have like someone who I consider to be my co-producer, and so I've reached out to him as well in terms of, you know, looking within his own networks of people. But you know, I think that one thing that I really do feel passionate about for this project is making sure that we take as much local talent as possible. And so I'm very stubborn, and maybe it will change as we get closer and closer to the shooting dates, where I'm like, all right, Tola, like it's time to let go.
Yeah.
And like just like make something happen. But I really hope that this character is someone local,
So
like
you
someone
want to,
from here.
because you want to, or what's the reason you really want to focus on the talent that we have here, or what?
Yeah, I think that you know, like we live in Palm Desert, California, the Coachella Valley, and I
Yeah.
think that is a part of the Inland Empire, which is what feel people like use as to describe the region that isn't LA and isn't San Diego.
Yeah.
I think there are very few opportunities for people to engage in kind of like this kind of work.
Yeah.
Like creative work.
Yeah, if
That,
you're if
like
you're a creator,
films.
you have to live in Los Angeles. That's kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
That's why everybody moves to LA. But I mean, I always tell people I'm really passionate about the valley and the
Yeah.
people who live here, just because we're so centered. Like everything's around us. So if you need to make a trip to Los Angeles or meet somebody, you're only 2 hours away.
Yeah.
You go to San Diego, 2.5 hours. If you need to go to Mexico, it's like an hour, 20 minutes. If you need to go to Arizona, it's only 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like it's such a center location without the traffic. Pretty great weather, like 8 months out of the year. So it's,
Right.
I don't know, I think it's an amazing place, and there's a reason why people move here. I mean, you have presidents have retired here, like at least 3 presidents that I know of: Elvis, Frank Sinatra,
Right.
Steven Spielberg has a house in Palm Springs. The Kardashians just bought a house here. Like, there's a reason these people moved to the valley, is because it's an amazing place.
Right. And I think that the timing feels right. Like it's interesting being back here. Like
Mhm.
you were raised here, right?
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. So I was raised here too. Was born in Victorville, another inland empire, another inland empire city.
Yeah.
And then raised here. Like this is home for me, Palm
Mhm.
Desert. And so I remember growing up. I don't know if you felt this way, but like there's something about this place that it felt like not much happens around in the desert, and people would
Yeah.
always say that.
Things are changing, definitely, though.
But things are changing.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. They're
Mhm.
already changed. And
Yeah.
so
It's growing fast.
it's growing really fast. And I think that it's cool to be here while that's happening.
Yeah.
Because I think that like people like yourself, where we
Mhm.
wouldn't have met if like we both weren't doing creative work and then like bumped shoulders essentially through
Yeah.
like, different networks. I think that we're all here. It's just that we're all looking just like for each other.
Yeah.
For opportunities to,
I know,
like,
and I know that if
collaborate.
you're listening to this, if you know somebody that's creative, like, we're always willing to work with our creatives, because
Right.
that's, like you said, we kind of have to work with the pool that we have here. And I think that's really cool that you want to focus this project in the valley and try to find local talent that is able to work with you, and kind of give them an opportunity as well to see that, hey, there's people out here making films or doing
Right.
things that you might be interested in. Why not reach out? Why not go to auditions? Why not see how you could help?
Exactly. Yeah, I just think like people won't know until the opportunities put in front of them.
Mhm.
So I'm really glad to be able to try and just like facilitate that kind of opportunity for some people. It's been difficult to try and like let people in the valley know, and also know that I do want to be able to collaborate as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that people, people still have this idea of like, oh, they have to go to LA to make it big, or
Yeah.
and I think that there's some truth in that. Like Los Angeles is a big,
Yeah,
like,
I
Hollywood
mean,
is a big,
yeah, entertainment
place. But I do think that because of our proximity to Los Angeles, I think that there's great potential here for
exactly
creativity, creative work in general. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel pretty passionate about that. Sorry, yeah. No, I feel like pretty passionate about it.
No,
So,
I feel the same way. I feel like, yeah, like we have the resources here, and we have the scenery, we have everything that we need. I feel like we just need to show people that people are doing things. And I
Right.
think that's one thing, like, you got to start a movement. If no one else is doing it, why not you do it yourself? That's why
Right. Yeah.
I think that's cool that you took initiative in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that I just hope that, like, obviously this is like a personal project for me, and like,
Yeah.
I really feel passionate about it specifically, but I've plenty of friends that, I've even reached out to like, be a part of this in some way, like
Yeah.
people contributing like music, and people contributing their different talents as well.
Mhm.
And so I'm inspired by the people around here all the time. Like,
Yeah, ever since I started the podcast too, I've been like meeting so many different creatives that like people making music, people making photography, videography,
Right.
people doing art. Like it's just so many so much talented people, and until you kind of start doing something, then the doors open for you. Because if you're not doing anything, sometimes you're not gonna. Oh, someone's painting. I don't care. Or you don't even know what's going on. But
Right.
just putting yourself out there, other people get inspired too. Like some people, they see some people doing stuff, they want to pick up a camera, go to take a course online, especially with YouTube now, YouTube University. Like everyone could start learning something they've always been passionate about.
Right. I think that it's I don't know. I just think it's so important, like, to, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I'm here because of people that inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this place is always gonna. I don't know. This place has a special place in my heart, like the Valley. That was not the case, like back in the day when I was going through, high school, middle school.
Yeah,
I think that we're told, even by our own peers, like people our own age, like, no, dog, you got to get out of here. Like, this is not the place to be. Like,
exactly.
People don't.
And not all people end up coming back. I see that.
Right.
Like, they leave and they think it's this, but then they're coming back. They always come back. And there's nothing wrong with experiencing different things. And I think everyone should experience traveling, experience doing different things somewhere else, because you don't want to just be stuck in one place. But I've lived in different places and I've done some traveling. I don't know, maybe I'm just biased, but I really love this place.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel as well. No one else was doing content out here. And I started making little city vlogs and vlogs around the community, because I was like, I see YouTubers do this stuff in LA, they do this stuff in New York, they're filming little vlogs and doing this, but why not do it here? And I've seen videos of people that come to the Valley, they make the videos, the same thing as Coachella. Right. They come here, they make the videos, and they take off. And then that's it, and there's no one else doing it. So I was like, I'm just gonna start doing it. So I started doing vlogs. I do Coachella vlogs. I started making Coachella content. So now people are coming to the festival. Like, I have a YouTube channel with like over 80 videos just on Coachella, just Coachella Valley stuff. So, because I believe I have to put the content out there, just because hopefully I inspire more people. And and little by little I see other people start making videos, and I think that's cool, because it all starts with one person rolling the ball. And I don't want to say I'm the first one, because there's probably other ones as well, but hopefully it just gets more people to start doing.
Yeah, like as soon as you start making ripples, then that's how waves start happening. And so I think that it's hard. Yeah. Like, let's not get it twisted. Like,
no, it is hard.
I'm sure, yeah.
It's harder to get support from locals. Yeah. I don't know why locals don't like to support, but I don't get like bothered by that, because I know that I'm just going to keep going, and they at least know that we're doing stuff. So they might not watch it, they might not like it, they might not listen to your song if you're a hip hop artist or whatever, but they know you're doing it. And then the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you do it. And eventually they're like, you know what, I'm just going to check it out. Or I'm going to check this out and see what this is about. And then they might get inspired as well. And then you turn somebody that was pessimistic into something positive.
Yeah. And that's a great attitude to have too. I think that it's hard. It really can be, because I have to choose actively to, because it can be hard. You're trying to make waves, you're trying to make ripples, and you're trying to move forward. And I think that, whereas in LA, where you would start doing that, and you can immediately like kind of find people that naturally happens. I think that isn't quite happening here yet, but I'm really excited for when it does start happening, because I think it is soon. Because I'm already doing this, and you reach out and you realize, like, okay, like, it's not like people are like super down immediately to do it,
more
but
conservative.
They exist, and that's like the first step.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you already have all the positions filled in for what you need for your movie, or?
That's actually so. I just got off the phone with somebody, a professor at COD. One of my friends is. She's in one of his classes, and so I've been trying to meet with him just to see if there are people that he can think of in his classes who might be interested in helping out, especially on the crew end, like in certain roles that we're thinking of, like script supervisor, sound operators, sound mixer, gaffer, like these kind of roles that are very niche in some ways.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really, but there are people who have experience doing that. And so COD is like such a big resource in the Valley. I think that I have had friends go to COD, and I think that it's sometimes crazy because I hear them talking about COD, and
Yeah.
I always think that COD is like just local people go there.
Yeah.
But that's not true at all.
No,
like,
it's not.
There are people from Florida who come to COD.
I played football at COD. Like,
Oh no way.
when I played football in 2012 around those years. I can't remember, but 80% of the team was from out of state. Like, you would think it would be kids from Palm Desert and Palm Springs and Indio and La Quinta. Like 80% of if there was 100 players, maybe I think that we had 11 locals. I remember we had 11 guys that played in local high schools, and the rest of the team was all people from Florida, Louisiana, people from Texas. We had like 7 dudes from Alaska that came just to COD to play football, and all these guys were just coming to COD to play football. And then since I was part of the football team, I was spending a lot of time waiting for practice, doing stuff, studying, whatever. There was they have like foreign exchange students. They have kids from Japan that would like come study abroad to COD. Like, just mind blowing stuff that, like you said, you always heard. Oh, COD is like an extension of high school, but dude, like I've met so many cool people there and so many cool experiences there. I went to COD, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a super rad environment. I don't know. I think like a lot of my friends that I know now have gone to COD at some point or finished and are now living here full time. And so, I don't know. I didn't know, like, you don't know until, like, you only hear what, like, that it's an extension of high school.
Yeah.
COD also, by the way, for people who don't know, is College of the Desert.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like, locally here.
It's our local college. College of the Desert. It's like, I guess, a junior college.
Yeah,
so
community college.
Community college.
Junior college, yeah. JC. Yeah, I think it's like but it's a huge presence in the desert that I think is like really untapped. And so just got off the phone with the guy who's one of the professors there, and he said COD is like, he kind of confirmed what you have an inkling that it might be.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, they're hungry people. Like, they're people who you might not have the best, like the most experience in what you're asking for.
Yeah.
But they're hungry. And to me, I'm hungry. Like, I've written a lot of stuff. But this is the first thing I'm ever directing or producing that I've written. That's not necessarily true, but like the stuff that I wrote.
the first serious major.
First serious major thing.
What an overall estimate of how long this movie is gonna be? Is it gonna be for a short film? I'm assuming. Right?
Yeah, so short film, so about 20 minutes, I would say.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's 18 pages or 19 pages, including the title page. In that Courier font, and so each page is a minute. So I would say about 18, but there's like some montage sequences in there, so it could be.
We'll see in the editing how it
turns out. So 18, 20 minutes.
Do you have plans on submitting it to certain film festivals that you have in mind at all?
Absolutely. Definitely local, like Palm Springs Short. That's going to be in June, so we're probably going to try and apply for next year's. And so,
you should definitely try out the Latino Film Festival, the official Latino Film Festival. I know this guy named Danny Hastings. He's the guy who created this festival to give representation to Latinos, but it doesn't have to be Latino like acted. It could be either Latino acting or anybody in the production team. Right. He kind of just wants to give the opportunity to filmmakers to come out. And then last year they had the three winners won $10,000 each, and their films got pushed to HBO Latino to be streamed online to the world.
Rad. That's super cool.
And just and the film festival was at College of the Desert because he was trying to get it funded in the city of Coachella, but there was like some issues with the funding. They didn't want to give the funds because he was asking for. So the problem was the city of Coachella didn't have a theater, so they had to like kind of like rent out a theater like in one of the parks, kind of build it from scratch and everything. So it was like a lot of money. Yeah. He wanted to have it there because there's more Latino community there. So College of the Desert all had the infrastructure, how we said, it's such a cool place. Yeah. So he had it there, and then filmmakers from all over came from Latin America, from Miami, from New York, from LA, and they all came here to College of the Desert, and there was like they had screenings for like 3 or 4 days, and then they had the award ceremony, and it was a pretty cool event. So I'll get you the context for him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That way you can see what you could submit to him, because definitely Palm Springs, then you have that option for that one, and I'm pretty sure he could probably recommend some other on Film Freeway. You could find some stuff on there.
Yeah, and I definitely think that in terms of representation and what that like means to me too, I just think that it's so important to have the films that I make reflect what I see in the world, which I see white people hanging out with Latino people, hanging out with black people, hanging out with Asian people, hanging out with South Asian, whatever. Like, we live in America, and I think that people forget that there are differences in people. People have different backgrounds. There's a lot of nuances, and I think it's so cool that we're living in a time where people are really exploring that.
Yeah.
Because even within those subgroups of people, just based on ethnicity and race, there's differences. Like, I'm Nigerian American, and that's very different from a black person that you would say, like, oh, they're black. Like, some people have this, like, expectation of, like, what black is in America.
But there's different subcultures. It's like the same thing when people say Latino. I know some friends. I work with some people that are from from Guatemala, and sometimes they call them Mexican, and they get mad because they're from a different country. And although there might be similarities, or people like that don't have experience, they just think they're all the same. But there's people from different races, and they all have different cultural backgrounds and different customs, and sometimes they speak a little different. We can't be judging just like that.
Yeah, and I think that some people really take that as a burden in some ways. Like, you know, like, some people get upset because they're like, oh gosh, like, another distinction that we have to work through. Yeah. But I think that that's the beauty of our world, is that there's so many tensions to explore. I think wherever there's tension, there's a story. And, like, for me, that means that there will always be stories. Because if there's always tensions, then we will always have to try and explain, try to understand, try to grapple with those things. And so that's really exciting to me. I know that, like, it also is, like, people have this, like, idea of what unity means as well. And there's this tension, then another tension. There's what's hard is, like, you want people to be united and stand together, but we have differences, and I think that people worry about highlighting so many distinctions between us, thinking it separates us. But I think that when we validate each other's experience, that's what makes our unity stronger.
Yeah, I think that too, acknowledging the differences. And then once you're coming together, you all have different thoughts and different points of views. It's the same thing as watching a movie. Right. When you go with 3 people, you watch a movie, and because the way we're raised, the way the environment was, we're all going to look at different scenes and different stuff differently and interpret it this different way, because our minds, I mean, we all grow up differently. So I think that's awesome too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, so we got 5 minutes left in the podcast. Anything you want to say? Anything you need for the people?
Yeah, I would say we're making a movie. We're trying to fundraise, $30K, and it's a big budget. And I think that there's films, and big being very relative, because movies take a lot of capital. No matter what size you're trying to make it, it takes effort and it takes resources. Yeah. But I've definitely, like, thought so, like, carefully about each place that the money is going. And I think that what I'm very excited about, and I don't want to spoil everything for the vision of the film, but I think that beyond the film, there's ideas that I want to make sure provide resources for people in the desert. Okay. Whether that's through partnerships with certain organizations here locally after the film is done shooting, but also, like, a resource that people who are young creators here locally, and also, like, in what they would consider themselves to be called living in no-name communities. I think that I want to create a resource that and it takes a lot of documentation of what we're doing along the way. But I want to be able to provide that to them, to make a resource where they're like, okay, how do you put together a line budget? Yeah. How do you, like, what does a gaffer do? What is the difference between SAG?
So you want to not only just create the film, but also kind of educate people who are interested in following that kind of path.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Giving a behind the scenes of, like, how this happens. Even if it fails spectacularly, then at least there's failure is something that people can learn from. Yeah. And I don't think there's any such thing as failure. I think there is risk, and some risks just don't work out. but I think that you can always salvage something from any experience.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't turn out the way that you expect it to. And so I'm really excited about what happens in this risk that I'm taking.
Yeah.
I don't really see it as a risk, although at times
It's
I'm reminded
it's an opportunity. Because if you're not scared of going into a big project, it's not big enough, or you're not passionate enough.
Right.
But I think that's awesome that what you're doing. Like, and whatever you need from me, I'll try to reach out to people. Like I said,
thank you, man.
I'll reach out to Danny Hastings. He's actually like a pretty cool guy. Like, he's directed some music videos, like some high-end music videos.
Yeah.
He's done over 150 photo shoots. He actually shot all the Wu-Tang Clan, like the covers from. He was the photographer who took every single one of those. He shot Jay-Z's first photo magazine cover, Empire magazine, in the 90s. He's done a lot of work, and now he turned his passion into helping the Latino community and just young filmmakers who want help. So I'll give you his number after this, and we'll talk. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll put all your links in the description.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys support his page, Not a Coachella Film, on Instagram. Yeah. And hopefully you guys get to see his film when it comes out. So thank you for joining the podcast. I definitely want to have you on whenever the film is done.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Whenever you're doing the runs with the film, festivals and all that, because that'll be cool to talk about and look back on the experience that you had. So
absolutely. No, thank you, man, for having me. I really enjoyed this. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that was cool.